My name is Robert Rabil. Greetings. My name is Robert Rabil, and I'm professor of political science at Florida Atlantic University. The views expressed here are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of FAU. At the same time, I would like to thank the Association for the Study of Middle East and Africa, of which I am a proud member, for airing my view. Today, I feel compelled to respond to the dire and growing message circulating globally, one that seeks to delegitimize Zionism, demonize Israel, and implicitly provoke hostility toward the Jews, both inside and outside the borders of the Jewish state. Israel is now accused of committing genocide against Palestinians, a charge used to justify the claim that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. This accusation, trumpeted on social media and TV station, takes a malicious philological dimension when genocide is paired falsely with Israel bestiality. For example, anti-Arab commentators underscore in Arabic what they say, al-ibada al-juma'iyya wal-wahshiyya al-isra'iliyya al-yahudiyya, meaning, genocide and bestiality of Israel and the Jewish people. But does this accusation withstand even minimal scrutiny? The United Nations Convention on Genocide defines genocide as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. Where, one must ask, is Israel's intent to destroy the Palestinian people? It was Hamas that launched the barbaric October 7 attack, an attack that was nothing short of genocidal in its aims and conduct. Yet, very few have paused to examine Hamas's ideology, its strategic doctrine, or the worldview that shaped its actions. A sober reading of Hamas's own texts reveals that its ideological commitment to genocide against the Jews directly informed and materialized in its assault. The 1988 Hamas Charter states unambiguously, Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it. There is no solution for the Palestinian question except through jihad. Jihad is declared an individual religious duty, an obligation. Palestine is defined as inalienable Islamic endowment or waqf. No part of it can ever be conceded. And Jews are described as malevolent forces behind world tragedies. In 2017, Hamas issued a revised document. Yet this revision was largely cosmetic. It still denies Israel legitimacy, still frames the conflict as a religious struggle, and still affirmed the right and indeed the obligation to wage jihad to liberate Palestine. Hamas' genocidal worldview is reinforced by its principal allies. In the opening page of his treatise, Islamic Government, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini asserts that the Jews conspired against Islam from its very beginnings and were later joined by forces more satanic than they. His successor, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has described Jews as malevolent, evil, greedy thieves, and murderers, and referred to Israel as a cancer tumor that must be eliminated. Hezbollah, Iran's proxy militia, echoes the same eliminationist vision. Its 1985 manifesto proclaims, our struggle will end only when this entity, Israel, is obliterated. This is open, explicit, and unambiguous genocidal intent. The events of October 7 were not an aberration. They were the operationalization of Hamas's ideology. Hamas leaders have long celebrated death as the resource. One spokesman infamously boasted, the wombs of our women will replace the martyrs many times over. Such words make it clear that Palestinian civilian life is viewed not as sacred, but as expendable. Hamas embeds its fighters, weapons, and command infrastructure in schools, hospitals, and residential towers precisely because it seeks Palestinian casualties. Every death becomes propaganda, an opportunity to indict Israel while absolving Hamas of responsibility for the suffering it deliberately engineers. This is not miscalculation. This is a doctrine. This is a strategy. Against this background, the charge that Israel is committing genocide is not only incorrect, it is grotesquely inverted. Israel's military response is directed at an organization that explicitly proclaims its intent to kill Jews and that launched the current war with mass murder. Yet, the global discourse has turned reality upside down. Activists from the classroom to the streets of New York and London, many of whom fed the diet that Israel is an oppressor and a colonial entity, repeat the language of genocide without even examining the ideology of the group they implicitly defend. They frame their language in the mantle of human right, social justice, and feminist concept of critical theories. The Jewish people, who have endured millennia of persecution, culminating in the Holocaust, now see their national home portrayed as uniquely illegitimate, even murderous. Meanwhile, the openly genocidal intent of Israel's enemy is dismissed as irrelevant or excused as resistance. A truthful account of this conflict is in order today and begins with recognizing a fundamental fact. Genocidal ideology lies at the core of Hamas's project, not Israel's. To pretend otherwise is not only a distortion of reality. It incentivizes the delegitimization of Israel and endangers Jews within and beyond its border. The world must confront this inversion before it leads to even greater tragedies. Only by restoring moral clarity can we hope to protect civilians, Palestinian and Jewish alike, uphold human rights, and preserve the possibility of coexistence and peace. Thank you.